FEMA's been ready for the last week. They've been preparing for this. They've been working with the states, North Carolina, South Carolina, and originally Virginia, as they continue. Also working with the EMAC, the Emergency Management Assistance Compact, where 25 states can bring resources there. FEMA has been moving resources, coordinating with all the federal agencies, as well as other state agencies as well. So they've been preparing for this for a while. They've sent a number of the urban search and rescue teams, specifically the swiftwater rescue teams as well. So it's been a whole community effort so far. But
a lot of this so far is state and local. And now the next week and a half, you're going to see this really ramp up in terms of getting people, first, I guess, is you're trying to save lives. Then you're trying to get people, where they can live in a dry environment. Whether it's hotels, Airbnb, whatever it is.
Right. It's a combination of things. The disaster isn't over for certain areas. There's evacuations that are still going on, not from the hurricane, but as you just heard, from the massive flooding. That's going to continue, and the river's going to crest towards the end of the week, middle and the end of the week. And then we have to look at sheltering folks, sheltering people for the short term, and then unfortunately some people for the long term as well. And that's where FEMA will be encouraging people to register for help so they can get the help they need, to bring together the local, the voluntary agencies, the nonprofits that are also going to assist, bringing everybody together so they can help get people the help that they need.
So this is a much less populated area than, for example, than Houston. Is that good or bad, or there's some good about that and some bad about that in terms of the response?
Well, it's actually a combination. In some of the rural areas, obviously less people, but they're harder to get to and more spread out. But Wilmington is a densely populated area, and you have to look at how, they're going to need a lot of help as well. Couldn't even get to them. The roads were washed out for a while. So it's a combination of some urban areas and some rural areas, and they both have different challenges.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, I guess you've also got to get all the utilities in there. And when can you, until the flooding subsides, you can't even get the power turned back on, can you?
Right. But in certain areas, they've been able to they get a large number of customers back on. But the areas that are underwater, obviously, that cannot be turned on for a while. They're making good efforts. There have a lot of crews that have come in from around the country to support North Carolina as well. In looking at getting the power back on, but initially it's life safety, sheltering, making sure that people are safe. At the same time, be able to look and get the power back on in the areas that you can get power back on, and then you have to go through and clean out the houses, muck out the houses, and start the assessment process for people who have insurance and those that don't as well.
Hey, Rich, we are talking about a storm that is continuing to move north. That's good news for the people there, but it does pose threats for where it's moving into the mountainous areas. I've heard of potential concern about landslides if there's heavy rainfall that continues there. What does FEMA do in a situation like this where the storm is continuing over the mainlands?
Well, this is where you have to move away from the coast inland. Now it'll be moving up through Tennessee, Kentucky, and then eventually into New England, and realizing that all those states have been on the different calls, been preparing for if there needs to be flooding. FEMA has been coordinating, bringing in both Department of Defense resources as needed, as well as bringing together the other federal departments such as Health and Human Services for the health and medical, but also bringing together the business community. The National Business Emergency Operations Center, the NBOC, has been activated to bring together the businesses to get the businesses back up and running and see businesses helping businesses.
Who was in charge when you were at FEMA, Rich?
With Craig Fugate. Craig and I worked together.
What do you think of current FEMA management?
I think the current FEMA management, Brock is a tremendous emergency manager. The career professionals at FEMA are great. They are people who truly dedicated, who want to help people, who are making a difference in people each and every day. So a combination of you have Brock, and then you have a lot of the career folks. The vast majority of people are all career folks who've worked there, some for decades, some that I learned many things from over the years.
So they're always trying as hard as they can, I guess. It gets very political. It's weird when you hear a lot of criticism. You figure FEMA always is full out and with everyone's best interest in mind, right?
Yeah, the folks at FEMA are really dedicated. They want to help people. People don't get into this type of work for the money, that's for sure. Usually people get into it because they want to help people. They want to make a difference. And more often than not, they do. The nature of the work that FEMA does and public safety personnel is we see people on their worst days, and we have to be our best on America's worst day.
Right, and the federal government tells FEMA to do whatever's necessary. So it's, you know, when there are unfortunate things where it seems like there's not much of a response, these are catastrophes, after all. And you know, I figure people are always trying to do the right thing.
Right, people are always trying to help. They always want to make a difference. Sometimes we look at neighbors helping neighbor, and that makes a difference. And then you have the first responders, quite often the unsung heroes, the firefighters, the paramedics, the police officers, the local emergency managers that make a difference every day in a disaster, really save lives. And then you have the states that work with that, and you have the private sector, the nonprofits, the business community. It's really the whole community coming together. That's when we see the best in America. That's when we see the best of people coming out to help each other. And the business community plays a huge role in that.